Hello, and welcome to day 5 of the eShopperReviews 2023 Game Awards. Today, we'll be talking about the highest honors on the Nintendo Switch platform. The games we'll discuss here are the absolute best of the best.
One of the things that I should mention here is that Jen has no idea what awards I'm going to be awarding here. She doesn't know who I've picked as the best, the second place, any of that. And although I think she has a pretty good idea what I'm going to select for first place, I think that she will be finding out just the same as all of you which games I will be awarding here.
Okay, well, let's start with the third place, the Bronze Award for Game of the Year.
Okay, getting right to it. For the Bronze Award for Game of the Year this year, I selected Alicon. This is a game that I chose to launch eShopperReviews.com with, kind of. It's the game that I reviewed as the very first review exclusive to this website. And I selected that for a reason, because it is a game not many people were talking about. It's a game that I think is really magnificent. As I was saying earlier in the week here, I feel like this is a game that takes one of Nintendo's formulas, the Pokemon Snap formula, and in many ways does it even better than Nintendo does, which is quite a feat for any company to accomplish. But even putting that aside, it's just a magnificent game. It's really accessible. It's got some great character to it. It's well polished. It's got a lot of variety. It's got fun gameplay. It's got just so much good stuff going on here. I feel like this is one of my biggest surprises of the year, and it is absolutely one of my favorite experiences of 2023 on Nintendo Switch. Well deserving of this place, I feel.
I am surprised that took third place.
Why is that?
I don't know, I thought it would be a game that was more well known than this one.
No, I don't necessarily go for the well-knowns for these awards. Sometimes one of the smaller games manages to sneak up into the top ranks.
Okay, so let's talk about the second place, the Silver Award for Game of the Year.
In this case, this is one of the more well-known games. This is Pikmin 4. I felt like Pikmin 4 really managed to do so much just right for the series. And I keep complaining about the multiplayer. Yes, the multiplayer I don't feel like is quite as good as what was in Pikmin 3 Deluxe. However, putting that aside, everything else about this game is just pitch perfect. It is one of the best games for new players to the Pikmin series because it doesn't have the time limits that 1 and 3 had. It is really accessible. It has the cute new Ochi character who's really helpful and also acts like a secondary character. Players who do want to have some sort of fun multiplayer challenge can still have the Dandori challenges where they can compete against other players. There is a wonderfully beautiful world to explore. There's tons of upgrades to get. I feel like in so many ways, this game ups the ante for the Pikmin formula and makes this a game that hopefully will get more recognition, because over the years the Pikmin series has been largely ignored by a lot of players, and that's a shame because they're great games, and this is the perfect time to start playing the series.
The runners-ups of Game of the Year.
Each year, I select a first, second, and third place, and then I select 5 runners-up. And man, I'll tell you, it was torturous narrowing that list down to only those 8 games this year because there were so many good ones. However, I think I've managed it. I have 5 runners-up here that I feel pretty happy with, and hopefully they will be choices that you guys can appreciate as well. Getting to the first one, my first runner-up is Backpack Hero. This one, I was completely surprised by it when it was revealed in the Indie World Showcase toward the end of the year, and I believe it was a shadow drop, and I couldn't help myself. I immediately got it. I love the idea behind this game. I love that this is a game that takes a concept that many people hate, the inventory management, and turns it around and makes it into something wonderful, and that is the centerpiece of this game, and that is really enjoyable. I love how creative that is. And more than that, I feel like this is a super compelling game. It's one of the games this year that I can't help myself to keep going back to and playing even well after I've reviewed it. This one has that perfect just another run kind of feel that you look for in a roguelike, and this captures that beautifully. Definitely well deserving a spot here. The second runner-up that I've selected this year is Fae Farm. Again, I feel like I spoke at length about this game in yesterday's podcast, where I talked about this game when I named it my favorite simulation game of 2023. This is a game that does the farming RPG genre probably better than any other game in the genre I have ever played. It is a true delight to play, and I'm hoping it's one that Jen and I will keep going back to well after we've recorded this.
Well, more than likely.
My third runner-up here is Sanabi. This game, again, won my Best Action Game Award just yesterday, and well deserving. And I think that the action in this game is so smooth and so enjoyable, and just flowing from one enemy to the next and taking them out quickly and efficiently is just such a satisfying feeling. But even more than that, it mixes that element with a really great story that gets you wondering just what's going on and what's the big secret behind this mysterious city, and with the characters' pasts, and just so much good stuff in this game. I definitely recommend it. The fourth runner-up here is Vampire Survivors. This game got a lot of attention last year on other platforms, where a lot of people were talking about it like it was a contender for Game of the Year. And I can definitely see why. This is such a compelling game. Again, it has that roguelike, just one more run kind of thing going for it, where you're running through and just killing tons of enemies by shooting a gazillion different bullets or Bibles or whatever it is that you're using as a weapon. It's a ton of fun. It's super easy to get into. And on top of that, at only $5, it is such an easy game to pull the trigger on. It is an excellent value. Another great, great game, well deserving of a spot on this list. And the final runner-up in this year's Game of the Year awards is the Cosmic Wheel Sisterhood, which by this point I feel like I've said so much about it, but I'm going to be repeating myself here. It has an amazing story, great characters. The amount of influence you have over the story is wonderful. It has this really clever mechanic of you're using what's basically tarot cards to predict the future, and your choices in how you read those cards determines how the story flows. I don't want to spoil too much about this game because I really do feel like this is one that you should absolutely play. But suffice it to say, when it comes to story and mixing that story with the gameplay, there's just nothing that topped the Cosmic Wheel Sisterhood this year. However, if we're talking about the Game of the Year, there is one more game that I have not yet mentioned that gets my ultimate choice for the Game of the Year on Nintendo Switch in 2023.
Tell us.
Well, I'm sure Jen will absolutely not be surprised at my selection here. My choice for Game of the Year on Nintendo Switch in 2023 is The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
I called it. Over 200 hours. I called it.
Yeah, although it's not always the number of hours that I put into a game that determines my Game of the Year choice. In this case, this game sucked me in so hard and kept me in for hundreds of hours, literally hundreds of hours. And there's a good reason why. It is because it is an immensely satisfying, incredibly creative, enjoyable game. This is a game that I'm sure many people were kind of a little iffy on because, again, this is the sequel to a game that people still call the greatest game of all time. That being The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. And I still probably say that Breath of the Wild, I think, has a bit of an edge over this one, especially in terms of originality. However, even with that being the case, This game does such a good job recontextualizing everything in that game to make the entire world seem new and different, where now you're not just trying to explore this world, you're trying to master it. You are going all the way up into the skies and all the way down to the depths. You are creating these incredible machines to kill tons of enemies or go super fast around the map. It completely changes what you would think of as a Zelda game, and it does it all so magnificently. There are very few games this year on any platform that got the same number of people excited to share video clips of them playing, of all their fun little creations with the Ultra Hand, with all the cool little secrets that are hidden throughout the game. And there's a very good reason for that. There is just so much to love about this game. I could keep going on and on. I could keep ranting about this one. I'll put it like this. In the time that I have been reviewing Nintendo Switch games on eShopperReviews, I think that I have only given the A++ grade to 6 games. Those are Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Super Mario Odyssey, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and now The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. When I say this is the game of the year, I feel like that's almost an understatement. This isn't a game of the year. This is one of the best games on the Nintendo Switch. This is one of the best games ever created, in my opinion. It is top tier, the best of the best. I cannot recommend it enough. Players who didn't care for Breath of the Wild probably won't like this one either. It doesn't change things that much. But apart from that, I feel like this is a game everyone should play. It is magnificent.
All right, and that does it for this day, the last day of the 2023 eShopper Reviews Game Awards. Thank you all again for joining us. We hope you had a fun time listening and hopefully agreed with at least some of our choices. We'll see you all next time and hopefully on our next stream.
Catch you all then. Later.